everyone. Thank you guys for clicking in. Appreciate all the support on this channel, and we're up to good, not no good here. We're trying to make things right, and basically this whole collective conscious thing is mostly where I'm headed. I don't know if myself isn't going to make Marjorie Taylor Greene quit sitting in Kevin McCarthy's lap, but I can at least get everybody in one collective direction to say some of this stuff just isn't right, and that kind of like goes back to that whole 100 monkeys thing. I don't know if anybody heard of this, but back in the day there were some scientists that were doing some social experiments, and it had to deal with an island that was isolated from any other place, and there was they were 100 monkeys that were put on this island, and they had to deal with sweet potatoes that they put out there. The monkeys liked the sweet potatoes, and they went in there and got them. Or they would drop them somewhere where they wouldn't get sand on them. Well, then after they got them used to eating the sweet potatoes, they dropped the sweet potatoes down where there was sand. This is an actual thing, and the monkeys wouldn't eat the sweet potatoes because they had sand all over them. And they didn't know what to do. It wasn't the same with all that sand all over it. So they took two of the monkeys out of the group of this test group, brought them, isolated them, shown them how to get the sand off of the sweet potatoes, sent them back to the camp, I guess you'd call it, and before you know it, they had taught the other 100 monkeys to get the sand off of the sweet potatoes by dipping it in the water. That's simple, right? And then what happened later was they decided that they wanted to try this experiment again on another island, and come to find out this other island, there was no way that the animals could communicate from one island to the next, but somehow or another these other 100 monkeys knew exactly what to do to get the sand off of the sweet potatoes. Now, I know it's a long story and a little off subject, but that's my whole point behind collective consciousness, because the universe is defined by our consciousness. I'll go a little deep if you want to for a second here, but think about that. Think about if everybody kind of moves in one direction, and you kind of start saying, hey, wait a minute, this isn't right. And all of a sudden, it's called a narrative. It's a natural narrative. It's weird because we were all taught to, they taught 100 of us not to care about what was going on. So we taught the other ones not to care. And then before you know it, without even having to say anything, they just didn't care. Almost like leftinism. Like, how did they pull off what happened in 2020? Were they all told what to do? Did they have direct orders given? No. I think it's just a whole divine collective conscious dependent upon a situation given to a group of people of a like-minded source. And we don't nail this down at 100%, but I want to talk a little bit about this whole submarine thing just for a second. I know everybody's talking about it. It's been all over the news, and I don't know if you've heard recently, but they've come to think that, hey, well, this thing's imploded. They found debris that was consistent with the implosion. No bodies yet, and I imagine they're probably like inside of that thing if that's the case. Now, is this an organic situation? Probably, maybe. The people that were on this thing were really rich. It's strange that they would have all this money and then use such a really inferior device to do what they had to go down there. I mean, you would think that if you're going to pay all this money, that you would actually go with a team of people who were, more qualified, equipment better. Apparently, this submarine, a lot of the parts, if not all of them, came from Amazon. The guy was actually celebrating, the whole thing about how this sub was built out of cheap components that you could buy off the shelf or off Amazon, and build your own sub. And the toilet, where the little glass was on this thing. I'm not making fun of the people that are dead. Please don't get me wrong here. But I'm just trying to give you an idea of what's really going on here. And a lot of this stuff doesn't add up. But the porthole that you would see out of you could only see out of about a 10-inch circle, I think it was. And this Lexan glass was only rated to go a certain depth. And that certain depth actually was exceeded quite a bit when they had to go down to where this Titanic was. And so I don't know if he's made this trip before. I couldn't tell you that. This is the first I've heard of this kind of stuff since this happened. Now, here we are now with it apparently has failed. And there was problems with communication because the guy didn't really want to have a lot of, he said, I just really didn't want people, bothering me while I'm trying to do research. So he had a real primitive way of communicating to guide the ship where it needed to go. And apparently a PlayStation remote control was part of it. That's weird too. I want to see some joysticks. I really do. If I see a guy riding a zero-turn mower and he's running it with a PlayStation remote controls. I'm not. You're fired. No, I want to see some controls. I want to see some joysticks. I want to see something that looks like something that's supposed to be there. I don't want some dude. Anyways, now the weird thing is it took a long time for them to locate this thing. And one of the quotes I seen in a meme was, "Hey, the Federal Reserve started with the Titanic. Did it end with the Titanic?" Meaning, in other words, some of these really rich people may have had some stakes that were able to keep the economy balanced in a certain way. And that way, these people that were really rich are gone. Their finances get, I guess, liquidated. Then that throws the economy another way, and then that helps to introduce the digital bank currency that's so wanting to be beloved by lefties. And these young kids don't realize it, man. You know, if you're going to go buy a bag of weed, you pay your weed man, $30 or whatever bags of weed cost nowadays, and depending upon what state you live in. And where are you going to do? Digitally give them $30, and what are you going to do here? Well, that might work in the real because it's less than $600. But if you're the weed guy that's got to go pick up a bunch of weed, it's going to cost you about how much of that is, and you can't just hand that kind of money over on your digital card and not have no explanation about what it goes to or anything, because there's going to be stuff looked into for it. So that's going to anger just that group of people, which I'm sure that people on eBay, when they want to sell us something on there and you're like, yeah, I'll take it's going to be like, everything's going to be $5.99.99. And they're going to be like, damn, I would have liked to made another $30 off of that. But anyways, so many things that young kids don't realize when the digital currency is brought into the thing. But I wonder if this is going to be a playing factor. That meme kind of does hit home when you think about it. So I've got a few articles here. I know I've been talking for a little bit, but it's been all day. I haven't done any videos. I want to get you guys all wound up on what's going on. And I thank you guys for hanging out. Now, some of the stuff I want to show you is what Obama's been up to. It's some other people. So let me get out of the way here. Yeah. One of the topics of the dinner conversation, per Martin, was how Democrats can come off or try not to avoid being looked at as elitist. So how can we come off as not elitist? We want to avoid this stigma. And in response, Pennsylvania Governor John Shapiro's push to remove college degree requirements was discussed along with the freshman rep. Whoa. You hear this? Okay. First of all, let me just break this down. AOC, if you try not wearing a $1 million dress to a Met Gala. Or better yet, how about not going to a Met Gala? You can try to talk with an ethnic accent whenever you go from one ethnicity to the other and change things up from Latino to Cuban to back and forth. That doesn't help either. But here it says, you know what we'll do? We need to make it, this is how we won't look like elites. We'll get people in this Democratic Party and in Congress, and we will remove any requirements of college degrees. Now, I've never been really super educated. I don't know if you guys can tell or not. I know I might do a good game hiding it. But a long story short, for me to be able to do a good job in Congress, I'm going to really need to know a lot about history. Way more than middle school and high school is going to teach me, especially when it comes to woke teachers with pink hair. So you need to go somewhere where they're going to really specialize and focus on this aspect of education that you can make the right decisions for, because you know what history is and you know what happens if you repeat that. So what we'll do is we'll remove college degree requirements, and that way you'll be less of a looked at as an elitist, because you'll be just a regular old dude, anyhow. And to be honest with you, a lot of the college degrees they get nowadays definitely won't apply in good faith for what the history is, because of the fact that they don't want history known. They don't want people to have that power of knowing what happens if you do things in a certain way that's really not the right way to do things. We need people that'll make really stupid decisions with the utmost, have to do it, I don't know, I'm using the wrong words, but they really want people to make up really bad policy. And to do that, you got to have really stupid people. And so that's some of the things that Obama's been doing behind the scene. And Obama returned to the campaign trail where he tore in the Republican Party, and Trump, of course, and it is likely Obama will eventually take on a high-profile role in the 2024 campaign heats up, because Biden can't do it. Biden's not going to be able to do it. It remains to be seen if the presence of the comparable of former President Bill Clinton in 2012 as the President Obama dubbed Clinton Secretary of Explaining Stuff for his campaign trail appearances. Yeah, because Clinton did a lot of negotiation with Hillary whenever she caught him with all those women. Negotiation skills on point, bro. And so, luckily everybody's got a pretty good idea what Obama's up to now. That's all the memes have paid off tremendously on the account, because that's where it cuts like a knife. The memes are really short and sweet, but you can lay out facts, and you can get lefties to go in there and try to debunk them, and all they do is make it look worse. And so we've done a good job getting the Obama name out there, and his totally female wife. So next item up for bid here is the well, of course, we just talked about earlier about that catastrophic submarine debris found and all that. But strangely enough, here is a video. I thought you'd want to see this.
Well, Mr. President, Mr. Prime Minister, just demoted you. Mr. Prime Minister, thank you for being here, and welcome back to the White House.
Okay, so he just called the Prime Minister the President. He's like, yeah, Mr. President. He says, you don't look like Obama, but you're not exactly completely white, so I don't know what happened. I don't know. Anyway, so watch this one more time. And watch the Prime Minister's face. Watch this.
Well, Mr. President, Mr. Prime Minister, just demoted you. Mr. Prime Minister, thank you for being here, and welcome back to the White House.
And no, that's not Kenny Rogers. He's dead now. But anyhow, he kind of looking around like, man, just sign me the check. Let me get up out of here. Whatever. And so yeah, that's definitely that person beside him, Biden over here. That woman, I don't know who she is, but I'm gonna we'll have a little fun with that. But that's got to be the one that gives him the hey, go over here. I don't know. And so also, a few months ago, I talked a little bit about how because Chicago is a town in Illinois. Everybody, when we say Chicago, we talk about Chicago. They're like, it almost becomes a state because we never mention Illinois. Did you know that the Chicago, which is a big city, kind of like other big cities and counties of like areas of different states, that one city can actually, because of its population, can really nullify a lot of outward votes in areas. Because of just whenever you move, like there's other states have the same problem. You can have 100 counties, and all it would take will be 3 counties out of that whole state that decides all the fates of elections. And Chicago is one of those aspects. And plus, too, everything is so well put together when it comes to that. They don't have any problems at all. So that's a good thing when that whole process is going on. It can't be messed up at all. Illinois has adopted that citywide ordinance about different things when it comes to policy with homeless people moving. People can go on like if you have a front porch and I decide that I need to get out, I want to sleep there for however long I sleep there. I can sleep there as long as I don't cause any property damage or physical harm. You can't move me off of this porch. And that's getting a little bit worse. It says here now this right here is probably one of the most obvious window opening opportunities when it comes to having a alternative military that they could be enforced to do certain things if you don't go by certain mandates, or if you have a certain ideology, or if you decide that you don't want to go by a certain narrative. Then they can. You need a group. As woke as our military is, there's still a lot of wonderful people out there. There's a lot of veterans. There's a lot of people that are still in there. That are in it for the country and the people in it. So that's going to always be a problem. What do most dictatorships do whenever they decide that it's necessary to make things policy, whether you like it or not? They need a Gestapo. They need a bunch of people that will listen to them, because that is their ticket to freedom in their eyes, because they come from such a dictatorship that half of a dictatorship isn't so bad. They're like, well, not as bad as it was down there, so I'm going to go work for these people. Now, I know we're in a circle here, but Illinois is going to trying to pass a bill where they can actually have illegals, people that don't, that aren't legal in this country, become law enforcement. And what they want to do is put badges on these people and give them law power to make arrests of United States citizens. Or whatever they'll be that Gestapo. You think for 1 second because they came here illegally that they have any idea what the Constitution is, what freedom is, what America is? No, they're used to taking orders down there, but they'll cut your head off. At least up here, they can just take orders and they're going to be not head cut off, possibly. So, current federal law prohibits non-U.S. citizens from working in law enforcement. Illinois is looking to change that. The Illinois House and Senate recently passed a bill, 3751, allowing some work-eligible non-U.S. citizens to serve in law enforcement in the state. The bill states, it reinserts that the provisions of engrossed bill and adds that individuals against whom Immigration Act has been deferred by U.S. citizens and immigration services under the Federal Action of Childhood Arrivals, DACA, which thanks Obama, process and allowed to apply for the precision of police after deputy sheriff or special policeman is subject to specified requirements effective January 1st, 2024. Now, what they'll say is Illinois Governor Pritzker's signature currently federal law is, but it says here they won't be able to tote firearms is what they say right off. But of course, that is that really going to be something to stay in? But imagine you as a U.S. citizen, you are in a situation where you had a domestic violence because of some peaceful protest, and now you've got somebody that's not even from your country, that's not even legal to be here, putting handcuffs on you, taking your freedom away while they walk around. Does that sound like something that you want to get involved in? Do you want to live in a place like that? Now, if this goes through, then what can happen is that sets precedents for other states that are run by lefty dookie butts, and they'll start doing that. And you can actually, there's enough people that have came over here illegally that it's more than 8 states populated. That's a lot of people. And of course, they got 87,000 IRS agents to make sure that all them people pay taxes that came over here, right? Right? Huh? Anyhow, so that's a really scary precedent to set. And like I said earlier, what if these people are told that hey, you have to go arrest these people because they didn't take the mandated stuff to reduce and lower the numbers down. So go to their home and take them out of their home and take their kids, put handcuffs on them, take their freedom, put the jab in them. And you don't have to have the jab because the fact that you're not covered under the lawsuit like clause where they can't be sued. So you don't actually have to do this, but everybody else will. And your tax dollars will pay for this, by the way. You working and trying to pay bills and raise your children is going to pay for these people to be put in. That right there in itself is probably one of the scariest stories I've brought in a while. It just seems kind of like not much right now, but you watch and see how they'll take that power structure and expand it exponentially if it's allowed to happen. And you've got to remember that there's a governor of Illinois that isn't doing anything about what's going on in Chicago, the city of Illinois, with all that crime and other places as well. Nothing's happening. So that means that there's a good chance that, I watched a thing with James O'Keefe and OMG Media Group, and a BlackRock recruiter specifically said, hey, I can buy a senator for $10,000 or a governor. Governors are cheap. All these people. So, get ready for that. Alex Soros, guys. Alex Soros, George Soros' son. Yep. So, what I'm going to do now is wrap this up and get back to work. We got some more stuff to get out today. It's getting late in the evening, but we're going to try to do what we can do before we go home. I'm tired, guys, so if I'm a little bit, it's because it was a late night. We were filming the episodes with Matt and William uncovering mysteries, and we actually dove a deep dive into Klaus Schwab, and so that'll be on my Rumble channel. If you want to check it out, that'll be out next week. Matt's got to kind of do some editing and throw a few clips in there extra, but that's something we like to do. If you're into that kind of stuff, it's longer content, but we did three episodes, I think it was, on Timothy McVeigh. And the whole Merle City building that got taken down by just only Timothy McVeigh. Anyhow, thank you guys. Please like, subscribe, and share. And please tell everybody what's going on. And I thank you guys for all the support. Have a wonderful weekend that's coming up just right around the corner, guys. Friday's tomorrow, and everybody can relax, okay? Have a good one. I'm out.